Welcome to Cozy, your trusted source for Africa's real story. From geopolitics to minerals to development, we bring you the updates shaping tomorrow. Subscribe and stay ahead. Now, Burkina Faso just dropped a bomb on the global financial stage. President Ibrahim Traoré unveiled a brand new African currency, Afro money, backed by gold, cobalt, and oil, completely free of Western control. Nobody saw it coming. So why would a young leader take such a risk right now? Let's break it down. When Africa first raised its flags of independence, many thought the fight was over. Colonizers gone, national anthems changed, but one chain never broke: monetary control. And over time, that chain only tightened. In today's world, you don't need foreign tanks to control Africa. All it takes is foreign money in African pockets. That's the game Traoré understood. While many leaders chase loans and IMF approval, their own currencies are used as weapons against them. The clearest example, the CFA franc. The CFA isn't just a currency, it's a leash. Created out of French colonial rule, it still binds 14 African nations to Paris. They can't print money freely. They can't move reserves without permission. Worse, they're forced to park huge portions of their wealth in French banks, earning nothing. What does that mean? It means these nations look independent, but live dependent. When crisis hits, they can't shield their economies. Their lifeline is managed from another capital. So why Afro money now? Because the old order is cracking. France's grip on West Africa is slipping. ECOWAS is divided. Mali, Niger, Guinea, and now Burkina Faso are breaking ranks. This isn't rebellion, it's replacement. And Traoré knows the truth. No revolution is real if your economy is still chained to your oppressor's pen. Launching Afro money wasn't reckless, it was survival. But here's the catch. The global system punishes independence. Step away from the dollar, the euro, or the CFA, and you face sanctions, frozen accounts, trade cuts. That's why Traoré didn't patch the system. He built something new, something no outsider could devalue, delay, or destroy. And he's not standing alone. Across Africa, whispers of monetary independence are turning into conversations. Leaders are watching. Youth are listening. A generation tired of borrowed systems is ready for ownership, not obligation. Still, a new currency isn't just money. It's a message, a symbol, something people carry every day that reminds them of freedom. Which brings us to the question, what does Afro money actually look like? And why are its design choices shaking governments as much as its gold reserves? In America, the dollar carries presidents and founding fathers. In Europe, the euro shows bridges and gates, symbols of unity and growth. But Afro money, it flips the script completely. It doesn't just honor history, it corrects it. Pick up an Afro note, and you're not just holding cash, you're holding a manifesto. The imagery isn't neutral, it's intentional. Traoré didn't settle for monuments or abstract shapes. He placed revolutionaries on the front lines, figures the world tried to erase. Thomas Sankara, gunned down after challenging Western death. Patrice Lumumba, overthrown and executed with foreign complicity. Queen Nzinga, the warrior queen who fought Portuguese colonizers for decades. Nelson Mandela, not the smiling elder the West later embraced, but the underground fighter they once called a terrorist. These faces aren't there for nostalgia. They're there to rewire psychology, to remind Africans that power isn't handed down from outside, it's claimed from within. Even the way they're drawn sends a message. Sankara's stare is sharp, unyielding. Lumumba's eyes carry fury. Queen Nzinga dominates the center, spear in hand. Mandela isn't softened. He's fierce, youthful, uncompromising, and the typography bold. Afro doesn't hide in a corner. It takes the stage. Inscriptions appear not in colonial languages but in Africa's own tongues. That alone is defiance. Then come the coins. Less currency, more micro-monuments. They carry Africa without colonial borders. Fists breaking chains, baobab trees woven into circuit boards, a nod to both deep roots and digital futures. Along the rims, lines of poetry, resistance speeches, and proverbs once stripped from European textbooks now circulate in daily life. And this is what rattles global elites. It's not just about economics. It's about narrative control. Currency isn't just money. It's education. It tells people who to honor, who to remember, who to fear. For decades, African currencies tied to the West carried more than foreign approval. They carried foreign values. Afro money flips that script. It's not subtle. It's unapologetic African pride printed in ink and etched in metal. But here's the catch. It doesn't just challenge the West. It forces Africa's own leaders to face themselves. You can't praise Sankara while signing weapons deals with the very powers that helped silence him. You can't wave Lumumba's image while sipping champagne at IMF dinners in Brussels. Afro money isn't just currency. It's a mirror. And for many in power, that reflection is uncomfortable. The real fear isn't that this currency might collapse. The real fear is that people will believe in it because belief spreads. And once it's locked into something tangible in your hand, in your pocket, it becomes almost impossible to kill. But belief alone won't cut it, crushed not by bad math, but by foreign interference. Traoré knew this from the start. His question wasn't, how do we create a currency? It was, how do we keep it alive when the first cyber strike hits? Because whether it's currency manipulation, digital theft, or blockades and systems like SWIFT, the West has an old thick playbook for choking financial independence. Afro money is designed to rip pages out of that playbook. Its backbone isn't just paper and coins. It's blockchain, a decentralized digital ledger spread across African nations where no single server can be seized. No central bank in Paris or Washington can press pause. Every transaction is verified instantly without a foreign middleman. And this isn't a copy-paste of Western crypto built for speculation. It's security first. Digital sovereignty, African-owned. The servers sit in African-controlled data centers powered by renewable energy, cutting yet another line of dependency. So the question now isn't, can Afro money exist? It's how long before belief in it becomes unstoppable. Technology alone can't shield a currency from sabotage. Traoré knew that. So his team didn't just build Afro money. They rewired the trade routes themselves. Step 1. Leverage Africa's most untouchable resources. Gold from Burkina Faso, cobalt from Congo, oil from Nigeria, uranium from Niger. These aren't luxuries. They're lifelines for global industry. Buyers can complain, but they can't boycott. Not without crippling themselves. That's Afro money's first layer of armor. Step 2. A new payment highway. While the West leans on SWIFT, Africa is quietly laying down its own network like Russia's SPFS or China's CIP so trade doesn't grind to a halt if sanctions hit. With this system, African nations can deal directly with one another and with partners like China, Russia, or Turkey without waiting for Western approval. Step 3. Multi-resource reserves. Unlike old models pegged to one currency or a single commodity, Afro money is backed by a basket of African assets. If gold dips, cobalt or oil picks up the slack. It's not just currency. It's an insurance policy coded into its DNA. But Traoré didn't stop at foreign threats. He looked inward. He knew African elites tied to foreign banks could sabotage faster than any Western hand. So rollout is tiered. First, trusted allies under reformist or military governments. Then, once proven stable, the wider continent. The message is clear. Insiders won't get the chance to sink this ship before it sails. The result, not a fragile dream, but a fortress currency built to survive sanctions, cyber attacks, market shocks, and political betrayal. But here's the bigger twist. Survival isn't the end game. Afro money is only a key. The lockets meant to open a borderless, economically united Africa where wealth, goods, and people move freely without conversion fees or checkpoints, which leaves us with the real question. Is Afro money just a currency or the blueprint for Africa's next revolution? A strong currency can take a hit. A strong economy can ride out sanctions, but a divided continent that will always be easy to break. Traoré knows this. Afro money, no matter how secure, can't thrive if it's trapped inside Africa's current trade reality. A system where moving grain from Burkina Faso to Ghana takes more paperwork than shipping it all the way to Europe. That's not inefficiency. That's design. Colonial design. A system built to move Africa's wealth outward, not inward, which is why Afro money isn't the finish line. It's the keystone of something bigger. An Africa where money, goods, and people flow like they do across Europe. At the center of this plan is the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCA, a nearly universal agreement to cut tariffs, streamline customs, and unlock a single market. The idea is bold, but it's been hobbled by one thing: currency chaos. Over 40 currencies on one continent means traders bleed time and money, often detouring through US dollars or euros just to do business with their neighbors. Afro money erases that overnight. Picture a cocoa farmer in Ivory Coast selling beans straight to a chocolatier in Kenya. No dollars, no euros, no foreign banks, just one currency, one transaction, but money is only part of it. Traoré's blueprint adds two more tools: a continental passport and transport corridors. The passport tears down visa walls, letting Africans live, work, and travel anywhere across the continent. The transport corridors, high-speed rails, highways, and energy grids bind those markets together physically. It's a three-part system. Corridors unlock access. The passport unlocks movement. Afro money unlocks exchange. None of them work alone, but together they forge something Africa has never had in the modern era: true economic sovereignty. The ripple effects, they're enormous. Imagine 1.4 billion people, an entire continent trading in one currency. That would be the largest common currency zone on Earth, bigger than the EU, richer in resources than almost any bloc alive. That scale changes everything. No more Africa walking into negotiations as 50 small voices. It walks in as one. But unity this bold doesn't come without enemies. A borderless Africa with its own passport and its own money threatens outsiders who profit off division and insiders whose power depends on keeping their countries weak and dependent. They won't just step aside. They'll fight to keep the old system alive. And that raises the final dangerous question. If Afro money is going to outlast the storm, it needs armor, protection against sabotage, hacking, and outright theft. And make no mistake, those attacks will come. History shows every African attempt at monetary freedom was if Afro money and Traoré's plan are this transformative, who loses the most? And how far will they go to stop it? For foreign powers, Afro money isn't just a financial shakeup, it's a loss of control. For certain African elites, it's the end of their grip on power, and for global markets, it's the death of a bad habit, treating Africa as a supplier instead of a competitor. The first to feel the sting, France. Afro money eats away at the CFA franc, and with it, Paris' quiet dominance over West and Central Africa. For decades, France has kept African reserves in its treasury, collecting interest in pulling strings without firing a shot. If Afro money takes off, that privilege vanishes, and so does France's monetary empire. The second to bleed would be the IMF and World Bank. Their leverage relies on African nations needing bailouts in dollars or euros. A united Africa with its own reserve-backed currency doesn't bag, it bargains. If Africa starts trading mainly in Afro money anchored by its own resources, it breaks free from decades of dependency. Without debt as a weapon, powerful institutions lose their grip. No more strings attached to assistance, the kind that forced countries to privatize public assets. open their markets to foreign corporations or slash social spending just to stay afloat. But the challenge doesn't stop there. Multinational corporations, especially those in oil and mining, have thrived on Africa's unstable currencies, buying resources dirt cheap when devaluations hit, then reselling products at inflated rates. A stable, resource-backed Afro money flips that script. Suddenly, they'd be forced to pay fair prices and compete on terms set in Africa, not dictated from abroad. Yet, the fiercest opposition may come from inside Africa itself. Politicians, bankers, and ministers have built entire careers on foreign ties, securing aid deals, signing currency agreements, and managing systems that kept their nations hooked to outside powers. Afro money strips that away. For them, its success means losing both money and influence. History offers a chilling reminder. When leaders like Lumumba, Sankara, and Gaddafi tried to rewrite the system, they weren't just resisted, they were eliminated. And while modern tactics may look different, the playbook is familiar. Cyber attacks on financial systems, engineered capital flight to create fake crises, disinformation campaigns to erode trust, and political factions groomed to undo reforms from within. Traoré seems to know the risks. That's why Afroni is starting small, rolling out within a core alliance of nations, Mali, Niger, Guinea, and Chad. Together, they form a defensive bloc. The more countries that adopt it early, the harder it becomes to dismantle without sparking a major geopolitical showdown. But let's be clear, no revolutionary currency has ever risen without sacrifice. Afro money survival will depend on whether Africans' leaders and citizens alike are willing to defend it beyond speeches. That means rejecting bribes, resisting economic blackmail, and standing firm when crises are manufactured to break public confidence. And here lies the paradox. The very forces trying to kill Afro money prove why it's needed. The stronger the pushback, the clearer it becomes. Africa's economic independence has always been a threat to someone else's profit. So the real question isn't, can Afro money work? The question is, will Africa protect it at any cost? Because this time, the war for the continent's future isn't on battlefields. It's being fought in the wallets of 1.4 billion people. Who really controls the money in Africa's pockets? And can a nation ever be free if it doesn't control its own currency? Thank you for watching Cozy. We bring you Africa's news, geopolitics, mineral updates, and development stories. Drop your thoughts in the comments.